Hari Hari. So let's continue on to chapter 13 of the Bhagavad Gita. Last week we finished chapter 12, Bhakti Yoga. Chapter 13 is titled The Nature, the Enjoyer, and Consciousness, also known in Sanskrit as Kshetra, Kshetragya, Vibhaga Yoga. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Mavidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Nena Tasmai Shri Guruvai Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, let's get right to it. Chapter 13. Remember to join us every Sunday night at 8 p.m., 8:30 Eastern Standard Time in the United States. Chapter 13, texts 1 and 2. Arjuna said, "My dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, nature, Purusha, the enjoyer, and the field and the knower of the field, and of knowledge and the object of knowledge." The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "This body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, and one who knows this body, this material body, is called the knower of the field." Very straightforward. The field and the knower of the field. Kshetra, Kshetragya. The field is this material body. It's known as the field. Kshetragya means one who knows the field. That is the soul, you and I, within this body. So we are separate from the field. The field is one item. The knower of the field is second. All right? So the knower of the field knows the field. Kshetragya knows Kshetra. Text 3. O sign of Bharat, you should know that I am also the knower in all bodies. And to understand this body and its knower is called knowledge. That is my opinion. So Krishna is saying there's the body, we have the physical body, Kshetra, then the individual soul, that's you and I, living in the body. We are the knowers of that body. We are Kshetragya. But then he says here, I am also a knower in one of the bodies. So the Supreme is also living within the body alongside us, with us. I believe it's the Mundaka Upanishad. I take that back because I may have the source wrong. But in one of the Upanishads, it gives a description of a banyan tree or of a tree. And in this tree is laden with fruits. And within this tree, there are two birds. One bird is flying from one branch to another, trying to enjoy the various fruit of the tree. Sometimes it bites into a fruit, very sweet, so it stays there for some time. It'll fly to another branch, bite into a fruit, it's bitter, leaves it aside, goes to another. All the while, this bird is flying from one branch to another, trying to enjoy the fruits of the tree. There's a second bird following the first bird, not saying anything, not judging, nothing, interfering in no way whatsoever. It just follows the first bird from one branch to another branch to another branch. Each of these branches are like a body, a material body, right? The bird lands on one branch or arrives in a material body. The second bird follows and sits on the same branch, resides in the same material body. While in that body, the first bird tries to eat all the fruits on that branch in that particular body. In other words, it tries to enjoy that body and tries to avoid the suffering in that body, right? Because the branch is the body. The second bird does nothing. The second bird only watches, follows, never abandons the first bird, but does not judge, does not intervene, just follows until the first bird turns from going to peck at and try to enjoy the fruits, stops for a moment, turns, faces the second bird, and then pursues a relationship of love. Then the whole dynamic changes. So Krishna is saying, Krishna is saying here, I am that bird. I am also within everybody, every single person. We all have Paramatma within us. Krishna is saying, I am there with you as well. I am also Kshetragya. I am also the knower of the field. I am also the knower of the body. Text 4. Now, please hear my brief description of this field of activity, this material body, and how it is constituted, what its changes are, whence it is produced, and who that knower of the field of activities is, and what his influences are. So Krishna is saying, let's get into it. I'll tell you all about this field, the changes, where it comes from, so on and so forth. Very important, we have to know our material body. This is our reality. It's not to negate anything. Krishna is not about negation. Krishna is not about negation. He says, you have a body, you better master it. You better get to know it, because it is your reality. Text 5. That knowledge of the field of activities and of the knower is described by various sages in various Vedic writings. It is especially presented in Vedanta Sutra, with all reasoning as to cause and effect. So Krishna is sharing some more. He was saying this field of activities, this material body, and the knower of this material body and of activities, all of this is in Vedic knowledge. There's no guesswork involved. All of it is in Vedic knowledge. You will find it clearly in Vedanta Sutra. But Krishna is saying, I will give a brief description of it here in this chapter. Texts 6 and 7. The 5 great elements, that's earth, water, fire, air, ether. The 5 great elements, false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses, and the mind. The 5 sense objects, desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, we'll come back to that, the life symptoms and convictions, or itcha, will. All these are considered, in summary, to be the field of activities and its interactions. So the field is not just this material body. It's also prakriti. All material nature is also the field, right? Krishna says the aggregate. The aggregate is, there is material, there's differentiated material nature, material energy. That's the world that has differentiation, right? Chair, table, floor, ceiling, brick, water, fire, everything is differentiated. So that's when it's differentiated and manifested. There's also material nature, material energy, prakriti, when it's unmanifested. And there's no differentiation. That's called the aggregate. It's still material nature, it's still prakriti, but there's no differentiation, there's no tables and chairs and things. It's just an aggregate. It is all material nature in one lump ball, if you will. That is also kshetra. So it's not just the material body, it's all of material reality is kshetra. The various senses, the mind, the various elements of earth, water, all of it is kshetra. Very important. All of it is kshetra, the field, but it's not the knower. Remember, the knower is Atman, the living entity. Texts 8 through 12. Humility, pridelessness, nonviolence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home, and the rest. And we'll come back to that. Even-mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary place. And we'll come back to that. Detachment from the general mass of people. We'll come back to that. Acceptance of the importance of self-realization and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All these I declare to be knowledge. And besides this, whatever there may be is ignorance. So there's a lot of things that came up in this list. Living in a solitary place, detached from the general populace of people, free from the entanglement of wife, home, children, husband, and so on. These are a little, what does he mean by that? Let's get to the point. What's the purpose of existence? Well, by the definition of Vedanta Sutra, Vedic scriptures, the purpose is freedom. Freedom, moksha. Because it is when we are free that we're able to live at our highest potential. Obviously, if we are restricted, if we have no freedom, if we're imprisoned, how can we live at our highest potential? So the goal of Vedic spirituality is freedom. That's the goal. That's not the end of it, however. With freedom comes a very, very interesting possibility. Love. Bhakti. There is no love without freedom. If we are not fully and completely free, we cannot choose love, and we cannot create and sustain relationships of love if we are not free. If we are subject to the whims, the impulses of the mind, senses, and so on. So there must be moksha, there must be freedom in order for bhakti, for love, to be chosen and manifest. Now let's go back and hear some of those items that Krishna talks about. Because the goal is freedom, Krishna is listing all those things which he would call knowledge. For Krishna, knowledge means that which will give you freedom. That understanding, that realization, that knowledge which will lead to, that will help you attain freedom. Because with that freedom, then one can choose love, bhakti. And love is the highest attainment. It is the highest expression of our potential. It is the highest motivator, even more so than money, even more so than fear. Love is very simply the highest motivator for the living entity. But in order to choose love, there must be freedom. So Krishna says knowledge is anything that helps lead you to becoming free. That is knowledge. Anything else is ignorance. If it does not lead to, does not point to, does not help you achieve moksha, freedom, it's ignorance. You're wasting your time. So then Krishna says, do not be, or detachment from the general populace. This does not mean aloofness. This does not mean aloofness. This means detachment. Because an attachment is the erroneous belief that something outside of yourself is the cause of your happiness. Listen to that again. Attachment. An attachment is the erroneous belief that something, someone, some circumstance outside of yourself is the cause of your happiness, your well-being. That is an erroneous belief. We are spirit beings. We are kshatragya. We are ananda maya. We are the very essence of ananda, bliss. So that's what an attachment is. So Krishna is saying, do not be attached to this idea. Do not have this erroneous belief that your happiness can be found in the general populace or the general mass of people. Do not harbor that belief. That's what Krishna is saying here. Do not have that attachment. Do not have that erroneous belief that the people around you are the source of your happiness. Now, this does not mean they cannot give you pain, right? Wonderful example I love to use, Christ nailed to the cross. We just experienced, went through, celebrated Easter. Nailed to the cross. Did he experience pain? Of course he did. What did he say? Forgive them, Father, they know not what they do. The fact that these people were nailing him to a cross, he was still able to choose love because he was free. He was not attached to this idea that the people are the source of his satisfaction. Pain, yes, but not the source of his ability to manifest and to be love. That is a very lofty realization, particularly when you're being nailed to a cross. It is not easy. That's why Krishna lists all these things as knowledge, because these things, by the practice of these things, by the engagement in these things, we can move towards that detachment. When Krishna says, do not be entangled in wife, husband, children, home, and all the rest, he is not saying those things are bad. Oftentimes it's mistranslated, it's taught as such. Krishna saying, sannyas, go to, and that's one of the misunderstandings that Arjuna had. Krishna, are you telling me to go to the forest and walk away? Krishna said, no, you missed the point. When Krishna says here, do not be entangled in husband, children, and the rest, Krishna's not saying those things are bad. I mean, how can Krishna possibly say that? Krishna had 16,108 wives, 161,000 children. Obviously, Krishna doesn't believe that that's a problem. It has nothing to do with how many wives, husbands, children. That's not the point. That's not the point. Krishna says entanglement. Again, that's an erroneous belief that my husband is the source, is the cause, is the missing ingredient for my happiness. My wife is the cause, is the source, is necessary for my happiness and love, the experience of love. My children are the cause, are necessary, are essential for my experience of satisfaction, of ananda. Let's be very specific. Ananda. Ananda means pure spiritual bliss. We are Ananda Maya Bhyasat. The Supreme is Ananda Maya Bhyasat. That is the very essence of our nature. Ananda cannot be separated from who we are as Jivatma, as living entities. So this erroneous belief is, my husband is the source of my Ananda. False, erroneous belief. My children are necessary for me to experience Ananda. False. That is incorrect. That's what Krishna is saying. Krishna doesn't say you don't have to have a husband. Krishna's not saying you shouldn't have a husband. You shouldn't have. Krishna had 16,108 wives, 161,000 children. He's not saying there's anything wrong with that. It is very unfortunate that some individuals do often make a commentary stating that. Not what Krishna is saying. Krishna is talking about attachment. Krishna is talking about being entangled. All right, let's move on. Text 13. Text 13. Okay. I shall now explain the knowable, knowing which you will taste the eternal. Brahman, the spirit, beginningless and subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. So Krishna is saying, I'm not going to explain the knowable, that which is worth knowing. And what's worth knowing, obviously, is moksha, freedom. Then he brings up the topic of Brahman, the supreme spiritual nature from which everything else flows. Text 14. Everywhere are his hands, legs, eyes, heads, and faces. He has ears everywhere. In this way, the supersoul exists, pervading everything. This is a supreme. Text 15. The supersoul is the original source of all senses. Yet, he is without senses. He is without material senses. Very important. He is unattached, although he is the maintainer of all living beings. He transcends the modes of nature, and at the same time, he is the master of all the modes of material nature. Text 16. The supreme truth exists outside and inside all living beings, the moving and the non-moving. Because he is subtle, he is beyond the power of the material senses to see or to know. We learned about this in the 11th chapter, right? Krishna says, you cannot see me with those eyes, with that understanding. You have to have divya chakshu. You have to have divine eyes. And divine eyes means the eyes of love. That is how I can be understood. Very simple, very clear. You only know me through love. Krishna was very specific, not by studying the Vedas, not by worship, not by reading, not by all of the good stuff. You will only know me by love. In fact, Krishna says, if you offer me a leaf, a flower, or fruit or water with love, I will accept it. More so than all the greatest puja, all the greatest this, all the greatest worship, there's no love. Krishna never said it's not beneficial. Yagya dhana tapa karma natyajam karyamevatat. Right? Krishna says, don't give up all this yagya dana puja. Don't give it up. Do it. Even if you do it without love, do it. Because it is purifying. It is purifying and it will raise you to the level of moksha, freedom. From the stage of moksha, when you are free, then you can choose love. You can choose bhakti. So if there's no bhakti in the beginning, that's fine. Continue to do all of your spiritual activities without love, without bhakti, perfectly fine. You'll get there. As there's more purification, as you become disentangled, detached from erroneous concepts and ideas, this idea that Ananda comes from my husband, my wife, my children. No, Ananda is within me. I am Ananda. Once that takes place, once that realization happens, then there's freedom. From that place, you can choose love. Although far, far away, he is also near to all. Text 17. Although the supersoul appears to be divided among all beings, he's never divided. He is situated as one. Although he is the maintainer of every living entity, it is to be understood that he devours and develops all. We heard about this in the 11th chapter, right? Krishna says, time I am, I destroy absolutely everything. Yet, at the same time, I sustain absolutely everything. Text 18. He is the source of light in all luminous objects. He is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. He is knowledge, the object of knowledge, and the goal of knowledge. He is situated in everyone's heart. Two birds in the tree. Text 19. Thus the field of activities, right? The field of activities, the body, knowledge, and the knowable have been summarily described by me. Only my devotees can understand this thoroughly and thus attain to my nature. My devotee means someone who is in love. That's it. That's what a devotee is. Bhakti. Love. Only through love can an individual understand this truth about me. Excuse me. Text 20. Material nature and the living entities should be understood to be beginningless. Their transformations and the modes of matter are products of material nature. Text 21. Nature is said to be the cause of all material causes and effects, whereas the living entity is the cause of the various sufferings and enjoyments in this world. So cause and effect. This is the law of karma, right? Or this is what Isaac Newton accurately described, right? For every action is an equal and opposite reaction. The law of karma is a bit different. For every action, for every cause, there is an effect. Whether it's good or not, whether it's equal or opposite is a whole other issue, but there is an effect. Those laws, whether it's Newton's law or the law of karma, that's prakriti, that's material nature. But Krishna is saying, whereas the living entity is the cause of the various sufferings and enjoyments. Now, what this means is very, very profound. Remember way back in the second chapter, Krishna said, happiness and distress are like winter and summer. They arise from sense perception. Right? Happiness and distress are like winter and summer. They come and they go automatically. And it arises from sense perception. Chapter 2, text 14. Matra sparshastu kantaya sitoshna sukha dukkha dha. Agama paino nityas tamsta tikshasva bharata. One must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So the causes of the various sufferings and enjoyments in this world, Krishna says, it's not this world, it's the living entity. Cause and effect is prakriti. You throw an apple up, it's going to come back down. Cause, effect. Absolutely, Krishna says, that's prakriti. Whether or not you are upset about the apple coming back down, that's up to your sense perception. You change your sense perception, and you will either enjoy or suffer accordingly. That is the profound nature of this particular translation. We all know this. How you see the world determines how you experience it. This is not new. Bhagavad Gita said this 5,000 years ago. Every philosophy worth his or her salt since then has been saying it, and science has corroborated it. How you perceive, how you react to a reality determines whether or not you're going to suffer or enjoy that reality. Sense perception. So the cause and effect, prakriti. Whether you suffer or enjoy, whether you experience happiness or distress, because of that cause and effect, that's on you. Text 22. The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Association means attachment. Due to this attachment and identification with the modes of material nature, not recognizing aham brahmasmi, I am Brahman, I am spirit. That's my identity. I'm in a body, I'm in this kshetra, this field, yes, but I am Brahman, I am Brahmasmi. So Krishna is saying one who is due to their association, their attachment, their identification with that material nature. Thus, he meets with good and evil amongst various species because of that identification. Because of that identification. rather than identifying that we are Anandamaya. Our very essence is blissful. Our very essence is spiritual joy and bliss. We are not this material body. Text 23. Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter, and who is known as the supersoul, Paramatma. Two birds in a tree. Jivatma, the first bird, pecking at all the fruit. Jivatma, the second bird, is Paramatma, the supersoul, also within the body, with us, right here, right now. That's why in various Vedic spiritual disciplic successions, if you will, they recognize that the body is a temple because the Supreme is also living in this body. So we must care for it, treat it properly, keep it clean, keep it healthy, keep it fit, because it is a temple of the Supersoul. It is a temple of Paramatma, right here, right now. Our body is our temple. Text 24. One who understands this philosophy, concerning material nature, the living entity, and the interaction of the modes of nature is sure to attain liberation, freedom. Let's say that again. This is how you attain freedom. One who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, kshetra, the field, all of this stuff, the aggregate, the senses, one who understands that, and the living entity, and the interaction of all of this, is sure to attain liberation. Why? The car is all of the prakriti, the field. The driver is the spirit soul. If you don't know the difference between you and the car, you're in trouble. You are sick. You have to know the difference between you. I'm teaching my youngest daughter how to drive. So this is a wonderfully appropriate example. Just today, we just spent the last 2 hours driving up and down the highway. If you don't know the difference between yourself and the car, you're in trouble. How are you going to live a satisfying life if you don't know the difference between you and the car you're driving? This doesn't mean there's anything wrong with the car. In fact, the car is fine. You're the idiot. Forgive me. You get my point. I'm not saying you. We're family here. Stay with me. All right? Nothing wrong with the car. In fact, the car is necessary, is essential to get you from A to B. The car is fine. Our identification with it, that we are the car, that's the problem. That's the problem. The car is supposed to get us from A to B. Once we get to B, leave the car, park the car, move on. Once we get to B, once we get to freedom, move on into love, the choice of love. But you have to recognize that I am not the car. I can drive it. I need to take care of it. I need to put fuel in it. I need to learn how to use the windshield wipers, the turn signals, the headlights, gear shift. I need to know all of this about the car. But I am not the car. That's how we attain liberation, freedom. Krishna's own words. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position. In other words, how terrible your situation may be right now, if you can realize you are not your body, you will have attained freedom. So regardless of how terrible it is, this world, nailed to a cross, if you have Christ consciousness while you're nailed to a cross, liberation, what does Krishna say here? You will not take birth here again, regardless of your present position. If you have this realization. Text 25. Some perceive the supersoul within themselves through meditation. Now, Krishna is describing how we can understand the Supreme. Some perceive the supersoul within themselves through meditation, others through the cultivation of knowledge, and still others through working without fruitive desires. So there's several ways of getting there. Again, there are those who, although not conversant with spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. Now, very interesting here. Krishna is not talking about devotees who are in a relationship of love. Krishna is not talking about the bhakti yogi here. Krishna is talking about a transcendentalist. Krishna is simply talking about a person who is not identified with the car. A person who recognizes, I am Kshetragya, I am the knower within the body. I have a body. This world is the field. I am the knower. I am separate from. That's what Krishna is talking about here. That person attains moksha, freedom. From moksha, with that freedom, one has the ability to choose love. Text 28. One who sees the supersoul accompanying the individual in all bodies and who understands that neither the soul nor the supersoul within the destructible body is ever destroyed actually sees. So, by seeing we have a supersoul with us in the body, I'm here in the body dies, the supersoul and myself, we go on. Krishna is saying that person has got it. The penny dropped. Text 29. One who sees the supersoul equally present everywhere, in every living being, and does not degrade himself by his mind, thus he approaches the transcendental destination. So it's not only recognizing in the realization that I am spirit, the supersoul is living within me. I see the supersoul, Paramatma, everywhere, because Paramatma is in every single body of every single living entity. The tree, the dog, the cat, the cockroach, the mouse, everything. Krishna is with every living entity in creation as Paramatma. We can come to the realization of perceiving that. Text 30, one who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually sees. So we actually don't do anything. We're sitting in this material body. It's the body moving around, doing this, trying to experience that, the other thing. What we are doing, the only thing we're doing is we are stuck with a concept. All these things, this is the concept, this erroneous concept. The concept is this: all of these things will give me happiness. That's the concept. What happens then? That's the cause. At that point, material nature takes over, tries to do this, try to enjoy that, try to go here, try to go there, da, 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 da. And the soul, we're simply sitting in the body with this misconception, with this erroneous belief that Ananda is out there in Kshetra, in the field. So what happens? Our body, the field, tries to interact with the field beyond us. But Krishna is saying, the person who actually recognizes this dynamic, I am separate from this body going out and trying to engage with the field. If I'm separate, what's my purpose? Why am I separate? What is my mission? What am I doing here? What's going on? When you have that realization, profound questions then come to mind. Profound questions then will be asked and will need to be answered. Once there is that clarity of that misconception. 31. When a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies, and he sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains to the Brahman conception. That's how you change the conception, or that's the symptom of one who has changed their conception. They don't see the body. This is the solution to racism, misogyny, and all other isms and phobias. We recognize there is a body, but the real recognition is there's a spirit being in each and every body, and the body is just a covering. The body is secondary, not irrelevant, not irrelevant. The body is essential. It is your reality. It is a temple, but it is a vessel. It is a car. It is the ship. Use whatever metaphor you want. But to actually see that within that car, in that ship, in that body, there is a jivatma. That's the correct conception. That is the Brahman conception, Krishna says here. He attains to the Brahman conception. I'll read it again. When a sensible man ceases to see different identities, black, white, old, young, woman, man, ceases to see different identities due to the material bodies, yet sees how all beings are expanded everywhere as supersoul. There's supersouls everywhere, jivatmas everywhere. That person attains to the Brahman conception. That is the Brahman conception. Text 32. Pardon me. Those with the vision of eternity can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with the material body, O Arjuna, the soul there neither does anything nor is entangled. The soul is not, we just went over this. The soul does nothing. The soul simply has a misconception. Ananda is out there. And what happens? That's the cause. Ananda's out there, so material nature says, okay, let's make some effects because of that misconception. The soul is not doing anything. Prakriti is taking orders from the soul because the soul is of this misconception. And then Prakriti does its thing. We are responsible for our body. We're responsible because we are identifying with the body, the soul. We are identifying with the car. So what the car does, we are responsible for. Absolutely. We want to go 100 miles an hour. We're not going 100 miles an hour. The car is. We cannot possibly move 100 miles an hour. The car can move 100 miles an hour. It's moving under our will, so we're responsible. Similarly, the body is moving under our misconception that Ananda is out there, so the body is doing all kinds of things to try to validate this misconception. But we're not doing anything. It's material nature interacting according to our misconception. And Krishna says, nor are we entangled. We're actually not entangled. We just have a misconception. We just change the lens and we change what we see. We change our reality. Just remove, there's no entanglement. There is no entanglement. Just remove the lens and everything, this perfect clarification. There is moksha. There is liberation. 33. The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all pervading. Similarly, the soul, situated in Brahman, does not mix with the body, though situated in the body. We are aloof. We're situated in the body. Jivatma, situated within the body. But the body doesn't contain us. The body doesn't limit the soul. It is because of our stringent identification with it that we are restricted. It's our identification that's restricting with us. I grew up in India, and at one particular campus where I was going to school, they had elephants. And when I arrived there, this was in the mid-'80s, they had two elephants, an adult female elephant, and I don't think it was her daughter. It may have been her sister. It actually could have been her daughter, or just could have been another baby elephant. I don't think it was her daughter, though. But there was a baby elephant, another, small baby girl elephant. And so we used to always go and visit the elephants, a whole lot of fun. But I got to see this firsthand. is that the adult elephant, her name was Gulab Kali, she could be taken to where she would stand and eat next to the sugar cane. And the elephant trainer, he would take a little rope that was around her neck and put a little, 6-inch stake in the ground and wrap the rope around it. I mean, are you kidding me? There's no way this little bitty rope, coconut rope made of coconut fiber, is going to hold this elephant to the stake. Gulab Kali didn't move an inch from that space. We know how it works. The younger calf, she was tied the same way. It was a little more difficult because she was so much younger. She's a little baby calf. So when she pulled on the rope, she couldn't get away. Learned helplessness. So when her name was, Sundar Kali was the old one. Gulab Kali was a younger one. So Sundar Kali, she was a larger elephant. Gulab Kali was a younger one. So Gulab Kali, the younger baby elephant, she couldn't move away. Learned helplessness. So when she grew up, same trainer would come and take a little thin coconut rope, tap it into the ground with a 4-inch stake, and this 4-ton, 5-ton, I don't know how much elephants weigh, huge full-grown elephant would not move from that space thinking that they were tied down. The soul, we think we are tied down because of our identifying with the material body. All throughout Vedic literatures, stories of individuals leaving their body, right? The story of Dadichi. The demigods came to Dadichi. I don't have time to tell the full story here. Those of you who know it, you know it. The demigods came to Dadichi, said, we're in trouble. We're in a war with this demon over here. He is invincible. We were told that we have to make a weapon capable of defeating him, and the only weapon that's capable of holding the power necessary to kill this demon has to be made from your skeleton, your bones, because he was a powerful sage, Dadichi Muni, powerful, powerful sage. Within the bones of his body was incredible mystical power. So the demigod said, we need your bones to make this weapon to kill the demons. And they turned back. Dadichi was dead. He gave up his body. I'm being a little bit dramatic here. Of course, Dadichi says, all right, really? But basically he said, okay, take it. You need my body? All right. And he left his body. Just like that. We are not entangled. The story, one of the most famous stories, right? Sati, the wife of Lord Shiva. Of course, this is where the whole Sati tragedies come from, this misunderstanding of this Leela of Lord Shiva and Sati, right? She was married to Lord Shiva. Very, very, very long story short, she said, I don't want to have this body because this body comes from you, my father. My father, I don't want to be known as your daughter. I'm going to give up this body. She sat in Padmasana by her yogic powers, increased the temperature of her body to such an extent that her body burst into flames. She later took birth as the daughter of the mountains, and we have Parvati. We are not entangled with this body. It's our misconception, learned helplessness that we think we are stuck in this body. We become so attached to this body that this body is the cause of ananda. It's all a misconception. The material nature is is where cause and effects happens, but our suffering and our happiness comes from our misconception, our perception. We have to come to the Brahman conception. I am not this car. Wonderful car. Need the car. Take care of the car. The car is going to get me from A to B. I am not the car. Text 34. Let's wrap this up. O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates this entire universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness. Text 35. Those who see with eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage and material nature, actually attain to the supreme goal. So, one who sees with the eyes of knowledge the difference between kshetra and kshetragya, the body and the soul. Remember, there's two knowers of the body. There's the jivatma, the two birds. Remember, the jivatma, you, me, and Paramatma, the supreme soul. So the two knowers. So if we know the difference between our body and our soul through realization, not just book knowledge and theory, and also the super soul, and we can understand this process of Brahman conception that can lead to freedom. From there, we can attain the supreme goal. And the supreme goal is not moksha. The supreme goal is not freedom. Right? Getting out of prison is not the goal. Well, let me rephrase this. Getting out of prison is the goal if you are in prison. Getting out of prison is just the beginning. Let's say the goal is to have a mansion. In order to get the mansion you want, you need to get out of prison first. Getting out of prison, moksha, is the first step. Then you can get your mansion. Then you can choose love. Om Tat Saditi Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishatsi Brahma Vidyaya Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Jana Sambhade Kshetra Kshetragyayor Vibhaga Yoga Nama Trayodhasham Adhyaya. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Kurvavahai Tejasvina Vadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So, see you next Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the U.S. We're going to go into chapter 14. Hari Hari.